All right, we wake up to some breaking news. AzeezAl-Shaair suspended. I called it 3 games. Could be appealed, could be pushed down to 2, but 3 games is going to be the suspension, which means if this holds, he misses the Miami game, he misses the Kansas City game the following Saturday, and then he would miss the Ravens Christmas Day game on Netflix. Just the reaction to the Al-Shaair suspension. Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's too little? How do the Texans handle it? We'll jump right into it. Shout out to everyone for joining us on S&L. Subscribe on all podcast platforms. Just type in Locker, Stoots, Texans, whether it's on StreamYard, Apple, whatever, and join us live here on YouTube daily.
So he got suspended for everything, not just the hit. The NFL's memo release, whatever you want to call it, basically explained that he got suspended for the hit, how he acted after the hit, and his history with the NFL. And if you go with those 3 things, boom, there's 3 games. He got a suspension for the hit, how he acted after the hit, and his, recurring issues with the hits and personal fouls and things like that. That's what the NFL memo said. There's your 3 games. I always felt like it was going to be 2 games. I still feel like there's a chance that a appeal lowers this from the 3 games. Just like I felt like there was a chance that it could go from 2 to 1. I still feel like there's a chance it can go from 3 to 2. But he's clearly missing at least 2 games. It feels like even in a suspension or even in an appeal process, feels like he's at least missing 2 games now with the announcement of a 3-game suspension.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think it's appropriate. I mean, that's just kind of where the NFL is right now. Do I think that the wussification of the league, and I understand his side of things, and I get everything, from that point of view, but I think it's appropriate. I'm not surprised by it. I'll put it that way. Like I expected it. And I think the reaction had as much to do with it as anything. And I know that DeMeco blamed Jacksonville yesterday. I think if you leave the field in a timely manner, just get the hell out of there. I know that there's a lot of people yelling stuff at you, and I know that the Jags bench reacted the way that they did. I would expect no team with a pulse to act any different. And he said as much in his statement, but I don't think it's surprising. It's a different state of where the game is, but that's just kind of where I expected it to be. And it sucks, but we'll see how the Texans handle it. It's going to be a tough 3-game stretch, which we'll get to in a second, but I'm not suspended by it at all.
You're not suspended by it?
Surprised. Excuse me. I got my suzz a little mixed up. I'm not surprised at all.
So in the league memo, they make this mention after. So Trevor Lawrence, after he clearly goes down in a feet-first slide, so the league is saying that Trevor Lawrence slid in time, which DeMeco Ryans and many others seem to disagree with. Mm-hmm. You led with your forearm and helmet and delivered a forceful blow to the head neck area of your opponent when you had time and space to avoid such contact. So the league deems that AzeezAl-Shaair could have avoided that. After the illegal hit, you proceeded to engage in a brawl, which you escalated when you pulled an opponent down to the ground by his face mask. After the referee announced you were disqualified for the hit and your unsportsmanlike acts, you removed your helmet and re-engaged with your opponent while walking down and across the field, which started another physical confrontation near the end zone. Your lack of sportsmanship and respect for the game of football and all those who play, coach, and enjoy watching it.
Jeez, did they have to put that?
Is troubling and does not reflect the core values of the NFL. Your continued disregard for NFL playing rules puts the health and safety of both you and your opponents in jeopardy and will not be tolerated.
Okay, we could have done without the last 2 paragraphs. Like you described the situation, you talked about the ongoing stuff, and now, I mean, we're basically getting like the lifetime achievement. And that's funny because like anytime like I'm in an argument,
Moose Johnson cannot stand up reading this. He is thrilled by this. The way the league came down on AzeezAl-Shaair and what they said, Moose Johnson is flat on his back. The blood has rushed to places where he can't even imagine. It hasn't rushed there in years. Moose is having a field day with this.
James says the optics of the situation made it 3. DeMeco should really start taking that stuff into consideration and not act like it doesn't matter. So you go up there, you say, yeah, like, so you go up there, you say, hey, I know Azeez, that's not Azeez. He should not do that. That's awful. And then just go up there and say that. So James is saying that perhaps the press conference and the way that it was handled kind of made them lean a different way. And I thought so. I don't think DeMeco did him any favors yesterday. I thought it could have been like a keeping it real goes wrong. But that the last couple sentences there, I mean, geez, dude, like that's intense. And that's kind of like when you're arguing and it's like, hey, if you want to focus on the situation and say what I did, that's fine. You don't have to label me for my entire life. Like, you don't have to say, oh, like I always do this. You can just tell me that I did something wrong here. We don't have to take it too far, but my goodness.
It was also noted that, quote, AzeezAl-Shaair has had multiple offenses for personal fouls and sportsmanship-related rules violations in recent seasons. So his history, the hit, how he acted after the hit, bing, bang, boom, there's your 3. History, hit, and how he acted after the hit. There are your 3 games. That's how it feels like they came up with it. That from NFL Vice President of Football Operations, John Runyan, who's on social media. The rounds are a video of him launching himself as a missile at opposing players making the rounds.
Yeah, he was a dirty player. That does seem to be kind of like like a new portion of the internet. I don't think it's crazy that a dirty player from, the different era of football trying to clean up the game. I don't think it's like that insane. Like,
that's probably a positive for the NFL's viewpoint. Like, oh, this guy knows dirty, so he's going to be a good arbiter of this.
Yeah, I know a lot. Like, I know he's a suit now, and it's kind of funny. I think there is some irony in it, and I think it's funny. But I don't think it's like outlandish that John Runyan is the guy kind of overseeing. I think there's suits all over the world that are way more phony than John Runyan and kind of acting more holier than thou with way less credibility. So, and that's in the real world. So I wouldn't. By the way, when is that seminar tomorrow? The listener gathering. Anyway, John Runyan, focus group. John Runyan is he's kind of a guy who I think it's hilarious to see, but he's overseeing it.
He's cleaned his act up, Landry. He's enforcing the sportsmanship and values of the NFL, and
AzeezAl-Shaair
ruined those when he did what he did on Sunday, according to John Runyan.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Azeez can just appeal this.
I think it could get down to 2, but when you're saying stuff like that, it doesn't feel like 2 is going to happen.
Would you like to hear who potentially could hear the appeal? Former NFL players.
Yeah.
Ramon Foster.
Okay.
Evan Mawai.
He's biased.
Jordy Nelson.
Wow. Okay.
Or I think this is the player that you want to hear the appeal, Derek Brooks.
Derek Brooks. Okay. Yeah,
so we're rooting for Derek Brooks to hear the AzeezAl-Shaair appeal.
Okay.
Unless he's turned over a new leaf too, and then all of a sudden he doesn't care about his fellow linebackers either.
Yeah, I don't think DeMeco did him any favors yesterday. I don't know that. I think the decision was made. I think it was going to be 3 no matter what, but I don't think DeMeco did him any favors yesterday.
I do not believe anything DeMeco Ryans said yesterday could have made this less than 3.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't think so. Yeah,
I mean, it could. Well, let me rephrase that.
Yeah, they weren't. They had the decision made. Yeah.
Anything he said that kept the respect of his team could not have made this less than 3. Because if he come out and just condemned him, maybe the NFL's a little softer on him, but that wouldn't have gone well for DeMeco Ryans in the locker room.
Yeah.
So anything that Ryan said that could have kept the respect of the team wasn't drastically changing the NFL's ruling. And you can kind of see the 3-pronged approach: history, hit, actions after, and that's how they came up with the 3.
You forgot the fourth approach.
Oh,
you're the worst person in the history of the earth, and you shouldn't be on a football field. That was the 4th. I think the third was fine. Like, just read the final paragraph of that. Like, so they've already summarized what he did. They've already summarized how it escalated. They've already summarized that there have been other instances where he's been fined. Just this last one, just really unnecessary to me.
Your lack of sportsmanship and respect for the game of football and all those who play, coach, and enjoy watching it is troubling and does not reflect the core values of the NFL. Your continued disregard for NFL playing rules puts the health and safety of both you and your opponents in jeopardy and will not be tolerated.
Yeah,
They threw the book at this man.
Pretty harsh. So we'll see how it goes. Fortunately for him, he's got a bye week, so he's gonna get a 4-week break. Get in shape, ice up, be ready to go. He's gonna get a nice little 4-week break.
A 1-month vacation.
1 month to get your mind right, get ready, be healthy, and then be ready to go.
I do. Well, this
could end up being 5. Who knows how relevant that Titans game will be?
Right, yeah, that's true. I would think you'd want him on the field, get a little.
No, I know. Yeah, you
gotta
get a little sweat.
I do believe this is going to get knocked down to 2.
I think 3-2 was my original prediction.
Having never been suspended before, I know they talk about his history of personal fouls, unsportsmanlike actions. But having never been suspended before, he's got a pretty strong argument, it feels like, to go from 3 to 2. So in that case, it would be missing the Miami Dolphins game where he would be pretty useful, and it'd be missing the Kansas City Chiefs game where, again, he would be pretty useful.
Right. Yeah. And I actually want to get into that. The Al-Shaair thing. I'm kind of Al-Shaared out. I think it's relevant. I think what they look like without him, I think, is relevant. But the argument about, soft wussification, like this is an ongoing argument. They've made the they've made the decision, and that's kind of what it is, and that's what the Texans got to do. So there we go. There. By the way, I just thought of something. A lot of Christian Harris talk in the chat. I Must Pandaline says, stop asking about Christian Harris. You know what? I just realized that should happen today. I think Nick Caserio should be asked if Christian Harris had a surgery or something.
What was the setback with Christian Harris that kept him from returning?
Yeah. What was the setback? Did he have a surgery or something?
It's a worthwhile question. He's in charge of roster management. He had to decide that he was going to be a designated for return. He's been designated for return since the first week of the season.
Yeah. What was that? Was there a surgical setback or something like that? Hey, I kind of want to know. I think inquiring minds want to know. I've been sitting here looking at the chat for 3 months wondering, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up?
Yeah, it'd be nice to get Christian Harris back when you don't have AzeezAl-Shaair for a couple games. Of course, we'll have to get past the likely defense of the offensive line before that, though.
Oh, he ain't defending the southern line. You think he's defending him? You think he's going to say they played well?
I'm not so sure he's not going to form his lips and say that.
To say that the O-line has played well.
That they've achieved what they hoped they would achieve with it or something.
Stop it.
Just be ready.
Stop it.
Just be ready.
The Christmas plan, the landlocked Christmas plan. So I have a Christmas plan for the Houston Texans.
Okay.
You look at when they're coming back, they're going to face the Miami Dolphins. They will be coming off the bye. The Dolphins, by the way, that Broncos win was really big for the Dolphins when it comes to their playoff hopes. That's kind of who they're chasing. So that actually kind of, in some ways, you can say it hurt the Texans because you can have the security blanket of having a 1-game lead on the Broncos if things go wrong in the division. But on the other hand, it kind of helped them because now Miami, it's like an extreme uphill battle that they're facing trying to make the playoffs. So who knows what kind of mindset they'll be in when you come off the bye. So Miami's a winnable game, okay? So if you win that game, the other game is going to be the Colts at Denver against the Broncos. And It's kind of a win-win based on what I previously said, but there's a strong chance that the Broncos beat the Colts, and that would mean that if the Texans win and the Colts lose, the Texans win the AFC South the first week coming out of the bye. No questions asked. They're hosting a playoff game, and they're in good shape to do that. Not going to catch the 1 seed, not going to catch the 2 seed, 3 seed Pittsburgh. Probably far-fetched as well because they're in pretty good position. So your seeding is basically going to be set.
I don't know, man. If Texans got on a roll, Pittsburgh's got a rough schedule down the stretch here.
That's a big if though, because the Texans. Sure. That brings me to this. The Texans.
I mean, you skipped past Miami like it's some super easy game.
No, I'm saying if. I'm saying if coming off the bye, you beat Miami and the Colts lose to the Broncos, which I think will both be expected to happen based on the betting odds. If you do that, then you win the AFC South. You got me?
I'm iffing over here too.
Okay. There you go. So if that happens, after that, you're going to be facing a scenario where you're going to have to face 2 of the scariest, best teams in the league in a 5-day stretch, 4-day stretch, whatever it ends up being, Saturday to Wednesday, Christmas, the Chiefs and the Ravens. I think that it would be in the best interest of this team long-term to go as is against Kansas City, see what you got, see what you do, kind of get a test of your squad, see what they can do if you can build some confidence. But then after that, I think it's asinine, especially if you have the division wrapped up and you have a pretty good grasp of where you're going to be, to on the second to last game of the season, ask your team to play that quick of a turnaround and that quick of a stretch against Baltimore. So I almost think that if you're looking at this thing and you're saying they got 3 games in 10 days, if they take care of their business week 1 returning from the bye and the Colts lose, then you can actually make this a positive where you leave it all out there against Kansas City, you see what you got, you go on the road, and then you come back and you essentially give yourself 14 days. You give yourself 14 days off. So you basically get 2 buys. You make up for all the talk about the buys. You don't put your team out there and make them do something crazy. Screw Netflix. I don't give a damn about Netflix. Just have them, whoever needs rest them up, and then get them ready. Treat Tennessee like a preseason game. Go out there, try to get sharp, and be as healthy as possible. And I think that would be the plan. If you can avoid Baltimore being some sort of must-win by taking care of and handling your business, I think it would be great. Because what's the thing that we've said all year, Cody? And I'm not trying to. I'm not sitting here saying that the Texans don't need to get better. But what's the thing that we've been talking about all year since the schedule came out? Holy crap! They gotta face the Chiefs and Ravens twice in 5 days. 3 games in 10 days, you completely erase the most challenging, difficult part of the schedule in order to get ready for the most important time of the season. And let's say you go to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. Let's say you beat the Chiefs. They're a beatable team right now. Let's say you go to Kansas City and you beat the Chiefs. Ice up against the Ravens and get ready for the playoffs, and you're feeling about as good about yourself as you could possibly feel. Is it crazy?
Let me, in certain ways, no, but let me punch holes in the theory here. If you've got a shot at the 3 spot, you go try to get the 3 spot. And you'll know clearly if you're going to have a shot at the 3 spot because the Pittsburgh Steelers are the other team in this 4-team Saturday, Wednesday matchup. So you're going to know what the Steelers do after your game Saturday against the Kansas City Chiefs. So in your scenario, you beat the Dolphins. If you beat the Chiefs and the Steelers lose, and then you've got a shot at the 3 seed, I say you go try to get the 3 seed. And you go try to get the 3 seed because if somebody upsets the top seed and you get past your opponent, eventually you're hosting the AFC Championship game. Okay?
Okay. But based on that, here's where I'll poke on your theory. I think that Buffalo I think there's no like massive difference between Buffalo and Kansas City, but if Kansas City is going to be the 1 seed and Buffalo is going to be the 2 seed, you're basically setting yourself up to where you're fighting your ass off 3 games in 10 days so that you can go to Buffalo in the divisional round instead of facing Kansas City.
Well, you beat Kansas City. Buffalo's the one seed.
So you're saying if you beat Kansas City.
If
you beat Kansas City was irrelevant for me in this situation. I'm not even counting on that. Bottom line is if you
that's what I'm saying.
Like if you clinch the division, avoiding playing 3 games in 10 days is more important. The Kansas City thing was just a massive ass if.
It changes, but that's for me changes your approach because you beat Kansas City, they're the 2 seed now because Buffalo's got the advantage over them, and then you go for the 3 seed. If you get the 3 seed, you know you can win in Kansas City.
So what's more important, being healthy in the playoffs and being the 4 seed, or playing 3 games in 10 days and 2 games in 5 days against the best squads so that you can change? You're going on the road no matter what in the second round. So you're taking a trip no matter what. You're not talking about home field advantage. So tell me what's more important. Giving your team extra rest to avoid having to play that stretch, or getting the 3 seed instead of the 4 seed. Tell me which is more important.
I don't trust this team with extra rest. I don't trust them to come off of the extra rest and be ready to go for that first playoff game. So you're not even going on the road if you can't win your home playoff game to start.
Okay. All right. There you go. So yeah, just play through no matter what. Play through the pain. Get out there against Baltimore. Maybe you can go from the 4 to the 3 seed, assuming they get the division. There you go.
And
Landry Locker and Devil's Advocate in the building.
You go for the 4 to the 3 seed, and then the 4 seed upsets the top seed.
All right,
then all of a sudden you're hosting the AFC.
Weird. Now you're just being weird. Like, just the bottom line is,
Landry, what's weird about this? You play to win the game.
You're doing all types of ifs. The if on Kansas City was a confidence.
Dude, you ifed past Miami like they're going to beat the Dolphins.
No, if you beat the Dolphins, which you're going to be favored to do.
Why can't I if a game?
If you no, you're ifing everything. The bottom line is you're talking about
if they lose to Kansas City, then your plan works. If they lose to Kansas City, then your plan works.
You're talking about the 3 or 4.
You gave me one if. I gave you one if.
You're talking about the 3 or 4 seed versus rest. Which would you rather have? So if I told you you could rest the team and be the 4 seed, you would rather have the team go through that tough stretch. And assuming that the plan is to get the 3 seed, they're also going to have to then go to Tennessee against a team that has nothing to lose and they're obsessed with you. And they're going to have to do that. And you think that getting the 3 seed and going through that gauntlet is more beneficial than getting the 4 seed potentially and being rested?
Yes. You get extra rest after the Baltimore game anyway. Like, you get a mini bye after Baltimore. How much rest do these guys need?
Lay out those ifs. How many ifs was that? I want to go to Costco. Yes, Costco.
Buddy, it starts with one if. It starts with one if, Landry. It starts with if you stop. It starts with one if. If you beat the Kansas City Chiefs, go for the 3 seed. If you lose to Kansas City, rest all you want. Be out of sync, out of rhythm for the playoffs. Lose the 4-5 matchup. That's fine. Go for it.
Cody Costco, can you tell me where to find the ifs? And can you tell me what all ifs?
Buddy, you're ignoring the whole thing. You're ignoring the whole thing.
No,
we're not talking about anything else.
I don't
if
care
they lose
about
to the Kansas City Chiefs,
I don't care about the 3 seed. I care about winning the division and getting as much rest as possible. You're talking about the 3 seed. The 3 seed means jack shit to me.
Okay, well, it means something to me, so I think they should go for it if they beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, so the 3 seed, is worth just going all out for. Okay, that's where the disagreement.
You don't have to go all out. You just have to play football.
Well, I mean, you're just play football. You're facing the Ravens and you're facing the Chiefs like twice in 4 days. Like that's a lot.
So what are the Chiefs going to do? The Chiefs already made the playoffs, so who cares? Just don't even do anything.
I don't know what the Chiefs will do. I know that they're going to have the bye, so we'll see what the Chiefs do. No idea. Who knows?
The Chiefs are going to have the bye for sure.
I don't care about the 3 seed. I can't, at this point, it's win the division and get rest. That's my 2 goals. Division, rest, maximum rest. Joe Mixon. I don't want Joe Mixon playing two games in 4 days. That's the only way they win those games. I'm actually a little bit worried about how much they're using Joe Mixon now. Their only hope, whether they're the 3 seed, 4 seed, is Joe Mixon being ready to go and being 100% fresh. So I would love, like in a perfect scenario, I don't even want Joe Mixon to play against Baltimore. I don't even want him to play.
I mean, okay.
So
just forfeit the game. Why even play it?
I mean, you can go out there, give Dameon Pierce and give Dare Gumbawale and Taylor, whatever. Hell, Davis Mills can go out there. Nah, you can play CJ. But I want rest and I want the division. That's what I want.
I mean, how much you're literally talking about 3 days difference of rest.
I'm 3 days of rest.
You're talking about 3 days difference. They get to rest after Baltimore, and they're not playing against Tennessee.
I'm talking about having to play a game 4 days after the Baltimore thing.
Well, they can only sit a few guys. Somebody's got to go out there and actually take the snaps.
Just win the division and ice up. Just win the division and ice up. Yeah, someone else can go do it. Dameon Pierce, go be a workhorse. Do your thing. Give Dameon Pierce his Netflix moment, man. There's some bad movies on Netflix. Dameon Pierce. What is Dameon Pierce the equivalent of a Netflix movie? What is 30 carry Dameon Pierce?
I don't know. They got probably one of those Rock original movies on Netflix.
Fixable things. Cody Stoots has fixable things. There are things that are glaring weaknesses for this team that's preventing them from getting where many of us feel that they can get. Give me the fixable things, Cody.
The Petrie problem is fixable post-bye because Petrie could come back. I just don't know when exactly he's going to come back. I mean, best case scenario, he's back from Miami. I don't believe he's going to be, but best case scenario, he's back from Miami. So now you got Eric Murray out there patrolling at safety with an offense that includes Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and then their tight end, Jonnu Smith, has come on super strong here in the back part of the season. So they got 3 really nice receiving options in Miami, not to mention a dynamic running back in Achane. You could really use Petrie for that matchup. I just don't believe he's going to be ready. So now you got to do Jimmy Ward at the
back this season.
I do, because if he wasn't going to come back, they would have put him on IR. So they clearly believe he can be back at some point before the IR designation would bring him back. Because if they put him on IR now, he's done.
Didn't Jimmy Ward miss 5 games?
One of them was the short week, though.
Yeah.
And we know how you are about short weeks.
No, it's not about short weeks. It's about.
We know how you are about short weeks.
No, I mean, yeah, Baltimore, if I can ice up, I'm icing up. Some ifs are bigger than others.
And so that eventually gets solved by Petrie coming back. But I don't believe he's back for Miami. And then if he's back for Kansas City, okay, that's great. But I'm not also sure that he's back for Kansas City either. So then you get him for Baltimore and then whatever the Titans game means when it gets there based on the results of the previous 3. But do you have him back for the playoffs? I would think he's going to be back for the playoffs at least because they didn't put him on injured reserve.
Yeah, and if you get him back from the play, that's another thing. I think this is shaping up to where they might have an opportunity to be a very, very, very healthy team heading into the playoffs. You know, like there's the problem with Kansas City and Buffalo, and this is where I'm going back to our discussion about the rest and stuff, because I think those are the top 2 priorities: division and rest. Because Buffalo and Kansas City are going to be going at it the entire season because the bye is important. Kansas City can't lose another game. Like if Kansas City loses another game, Buffalo's the 1 seed, which means Kansas City would have to go to Buffalo, which nobody wants to do. And we've already seen how that goes. So the teams above you, and this is adding to this. The teams above you don't have the luxury of being able to ice up during the regular season. Now they might earn the luxury to be able to do it during in the first round of the playoffs, but they have to go all out. Like they have to go all out the entire season. And who knows what that looks like? Like anything can happen. Anything can happen any day in football, but with the way that those teams play, with how late in the season it's getting, everybody's tired and stuff. The Texans are one of the few teams in this playoff picture that is going to have perhaps the ability, because the seating is clear, to be able to rest up and get healthy and host a playoff game. Am I going to pick the Texans to beat the Chiefs or Ravens or Bills? Hell no. The question, though, becomes, do you think the Texans have played their best football yet? Some people would say no. Some people would say that the best is yet to come. But my top 2 goals for this season, based on surroundings, not just numbers, not just like 3 seed, 4 seed, all that, but just based on surroundings. And I think the biggest hope for this team is a healthy Joe Mixon, who we've seen banged up, and a healthy Nico Collins. I think without either one of those guys, you're toast, right? Like, you're not even a playoff team without either one of those guys.
Correct.
So because those guys have been banged up, it's hard for me to think, okay, you're going to play the Kansas City Chiefs, and then Joe Mixon, Nico Collins go out there and try to place the Baltimore Ravens. And then it becomes a question of what's the payoff? The payoff is 3 seed or 4 seed. Okay. What does that mean? That means I either go to Kansas City or Buffalo. Probably would rather go to Kansas City at this point. Different strokes for different folks, but neither one of those games is going to be favorable. You have no chance at either one of those games if you don't have Joe Mixon and Nico Collins healthy. Oh, both of those teams also, one of them, depending on which one you go to, they had to completely gut it out during the entire regular season while you were erring on the side of caution. I'm not sitting here saying play the practice squad against the Ravens. And you know how you and I are. We like to argue. This is how we do things.
Yeah, but the Bills, but what you're arguing here with Bills, Kansas City, you don't play them till the second round.
I know, but you can get banged up a hell of a lot of the way. But one of those teams, depending on how stuff shapes up, and this could add to your 3 seed. One of those teams is not going to get a bye, and they're not going to get rest, and they're never at any point in the season going to have been able to rest. You know what I mean? Like right now, this bye that the Texans are having right now, this is not just beneficial against Miami. This is beneficial for the whole month. It's like a clear recharge, and it's like a clear, like your body gets a break, your body gets to reset. Buffalo and Kansas City doesn't get that. They don't get that because they have to win. Like this is like if the Texans were facing the Indianapolis Colts, and let's say that let's pretend that the Indianapolis Colts had the tiebreaker, like Buffalo does against Kansas City. Now let's pretend that. Man, there's no breathing room. Like there is literally no breathing room for you for the remainder of the season. There's none. Like there's nothing you can do. Like you have to sprint. Like we're talking about the Texans 3 games in 10 days. That sucks ass. That's tough. But Buffalo and Kansas City, they have to sprint. Buffalo won their division. That doesn't mean anything. You're trying to get the 1 seed. Like they don't get to rest. Unless they like lose a game or something like that randomly, they don't get to rest. The Texans have a chance right now, and it could be an equalizer. Because I don't think that the Texans have the offensive formula. I don't think they have the offensive scheme to be able to out-scheme Buffalo or out-scheme Kansas City. I don't believe in Bobby Slowick. So what's the equalizer? It's not going to be weather because you're going to have to go to either Buffalo or Kansas City. That sucks. Maybe it's health. And unlike them, you have an opportunity if, and it's a big if, but I think some ifs are bigger. If you are able to take care of business coming off the bye against Miami, which is going to be the one game where you're really favored to win. And who knows what happens with the Miami Dolphins? They're facing the Jets this week. So if the Dolphins quit, you said they have a bottle of quit. They have quit in them. And then you have the Broncos and you have the Colts. So if you're able to win the division and then rest up, I think you're taking advantage of one of the small advantages that you have over these teams that you're looking up at and chasing. That's the point of what I'm saying with that.
Kansas City gets a rest too because they have the mini bye ahead of their final game, and they'll know exactly what that game means to them or not.
Yeah,
Buffalo's got a cake schedule down the stretch. Kansas City's is tougher.
Yeah.
So I mean, Kansas City gets a rest too.
Chiefs proved last year they can win on the road in Buffalo and in Baltimore. Okay, I'm sure that they're just not gonna try to. Kansas City's proved a lot. Kansas City can win anywhere, but they don't want to go to Buffalo. Trust me, they don't want to do that at all. But that's just my layout of the plan, man.
Back to my point from a moment ago, Petrie can be back for the playoffs and should be back for the playoffs because they didn't put him on IR. I thought you were going to tie this into Petrie some way.
You want to, well, he's part of the health. He's part of the health.
Okay.
He's part of the health. Landry talking like we win in the division is a given. I don't think it's a given. I think
it is. It is a given. It's minus 10,000.
That's him. That's him.
Minus 10,000. They're going to win the division.
There you go. Win. When are they wrapping it up? Give us the prediction then, bud. There you go.
It doesn't matter when they do. They win. They're winning the division.
Give you a prediction though.
They're probably winning the division because the Colts lose back-to-back games.
So you think? Oh, so you think the Texans won't win and the Colts will just lose too?
It's likely, isn't it?
How much different would this look, man? If the Colts hadn't made that 2-point conversion, man.
Colts hadn't made the 2-point conversion, it'd be over when Denver beats them.
Yeah, the Denver thing is interesting. I saw that the Colts were supposed to be favored. I didn't quite understand that.
We talked about it. I saw other people tweeting about it. That never made any sense to me. They were never going to be favored in Denver. That was silly. The Broncos are way better than that.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson cannot do what Jameis Winston did last night.
Yeah.
Not at all.
True. Yeah. Jerome's tired, man. I know Jerome works hard. Jerome needs to go get some sleep. I'm giving the Texans a win in the playoffs. You got to get what? When did that happen? I'm saying no matter what in the second round, you're going to have to go to Buffalo or Kansas City. I ain't giving nobody a win. I'm not even giving them a win. I'm really not giving them a win over the Dolphins, although they should. Jerome, throw some water on the face. Get some rest, man. You had a long week, brother.
You just breezed past the Dolphins pretty quick. It was quite humorous.
I'm not breezing past. I'm saying that coming off of the bye and facing that squad, you should win. I don't have confidence in this team against those receivers, and you know who else is a mofo for the Texans, and you know who it is. I don't have to tell you. You know who's going to be a mofo for them. That's kind of been like a running joke in the league the last 5 years.
Johnny Smith.
Yes.
Yep. I mentioned him earlier.
Yes. Yep.
He's come on strong here at the end of the season.
Yes. He's having a hell of a year. He's doing what many people thought he would eventually do. He's also got a decent history against the Texans. I think he had like an 80-yard touchdown like 4 or 5 years ago. Remember that?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. It was a long ass touchdown. Johnny Smith. Nick Caserio.
AJ had a super chat we didn't get to.
Okay.
3 games. The hip drop sack on CJ, not even a flag. He's talking about from this past Sunday, I guess. They didn't even, I mean, I don't think that's going to get ruled a hip drop in review.
Yeah.
3 down to 2 for Azeez is what I think.
Yeah, 3-2 seems right, which means he would just get to come back on Christmas. He'd be healthy. He'd be ready to go.
Well, I mean, unless they're resting the entire organization.
No, don't rest the entire. He's fresh. Get his ass out there. but Mixon, Nico, you chill out. If the divisions are wrapped, ice up. But Azeez, go out there and run around a little bit.
Go out there, chase Lamar, Derrick Henry a little bit.
Do it. What do we want to hear from Caserio?
I want him to condemn his handling of the offensive line.
Okay. I don't know that he has to condemn it.
I want him to condemn it, Landry. I want him to say, I got it wrong. I shouldn't have signed Titus Howard to an extension. Shaq Mason's fallen off. I made the wrong draft picks.
So the question before we get out of here is, do the Texans sprint out of the bye or do they stay on this treadmill, which feels like a treadmill that's been going on beyond this year? Do they sprint or do they stay on the treadmill? I think the key is wrap up the division and get some rest. Some people disagree, but hey, that's the beauty of it. And the other beauty of it is after we go to this facility today, we get a break from it. We get a break. We get a break from Nick Caserio. We get a break from DeMeco. We get a break.
I think they should flex the Dolphins Texans to the afternoon.
But S&L is still going. S&L is still going.
Yeah.
We're going strong throughout the bye, but we just don't have to go up there. I have to hear DeMeco. Costco, Cody.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, you there?
I think they should flex the Texans and the Dolphins to the afternoon. They should swap them and New England, Arizona, so that the Colts, Broncos, Texans, and Dolphins all play at the same time.
That would be sick. That'd be a nice little 2-screener. All right. Appreciate you, Costco Cody.
Yeah. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, what a Merry Christmas we'd all have.
For Cody Stoots, I'm Landry Locker. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good, rest as much as possible, apparently. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks, everybody.